Okay, so imagine this. You're a parent, and you're trying to enroll your kids in the local school,
Okay.
but you're told no.
Oh.
They have to go to a different school,
Hmm.
a worse school, and the only reason is their heritage.
Wow.
That was the reality for so many Mexican-American families back in the 1940s in California.
Yeah, a time when separate but equal was the law.
Right, and that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Mendez v. Westminster.
Exactly, a case you might not know as well as, say, Brown v. Board of Education.
True, but it's every bit as important in the fight against segregation.
We've got legal summaries, historical accounts, personal stories,
All kinds of sources.
and we're going to weave it all together to understand not just what happened,
Right.
but why it still matters so much all these years later.
And to really grasp the significance, I think we need to go back.
Way back,
Yeah, to the mid-1800s.
after the Mexican-American War,
Exactly. The U.S. had just gained a huge amount of territory.
where lots of Mexicans were already living.
Right. And they were given a choice, relocate to Mexico or become U.S. citizens.
Sounds simple enough on paper.
Yeah, you'd think.
But I'm guessing it wasn't that easy in reality.
Not at all. There were discriminatory laws and social norms already in place.
Even though the U.S. needed Mexican labor.
Oh, absolutely. Especially
Yep.
when they restricted immigration from other countries.
So they needed them but didn't treat them well.
Basically, they were subjected to terrible working conditions, low pay, even mass deportations during the Depression.
It's a pattern we see throughout history,
Yeah,
exploiting labor while denying basic rights.
you see it time and time again.
Did that exploitation impact education too?
It definitely did. Early school funding in California was based solely on the white student population.
So
Mexican-American children were automatically disadvantaged.
from the very beginning.
Yeah, it was almost like setting them up for failure.
And then, of course, came Plessy v. Ferguson in 1896.
Ah, yes, the separate but equal doctrine.
For those who might not know.
It basically allowed for separate facilities for Black and white Americans.
As long as they were supposedly equal.
Right. But we know that was rarely the case.
So how did this play out in the Southwest?
Widespread segregation in schools,
Mexican-American children were sent to separate schools.
and they were inferior in every way.
Rundown buildings, inadequate supplies, lower teacher pay.
You name it.
And it wasn't just the physical conditions either.
No, the curriculum itself was designed to limit opportunities.
Not exactly fostering academic excellence.
More like reinforcing societal biases.
Right, preparing them for manual labor instead.
Exactly. Boys were steered toward trades, girls toward homemaking.
Such a different education than their white peers.
A world of difference.
It's like they were saying, these kids are destined for labor, so let's make sure that's all they're prepared for.
It was a self-fulfilling prophecy.
But even in that environment, there were people who fought back.
Oh, absolutely.
And that brings us to the Mendez family.
The spark that ignited this whole legal battle.
Gonzalo and Felicitas Mendez, successful business owners,
Proud American citizens.
determined to get their children a good education.
And when they tried to enroll their kids in the local school, the 17th Street School,
They were told,
no, your children have to go to the Mexican school,
Hoover Elementary,
which was significantly worse.
to put it mildly,
Night and day.
they knew it was discrimination, plain and simple.
And they weren't going to stand for it.
So they started by meeting with school officials,
Trying to reason with them.
appealing to their sense of fairness.
But they hit a wall.
So what do?
They took the next step, legal representation.
Which is a huge undertaking.
Especially taking on a school board.
It's David versus Goliath.
But they found a lawyer, David C. Marcus.
He'd recently won a case about Mexicans being banned from public pools.
Yeah, so he knew the landscape of discrimination in California.
And he saw the potential in the Mendez case.
He knew it could be big.
But it wasn't enough to just have a lawyer.
Right, they needed to show this wasn't an isolated incident.
That it was a system designed to hold back an entire community.
And that was a challenge.
Because a lot of Mexican-American families were hesitant to challenge the system.
Even though they were facing the same discrimination.
Some liked the convenience of the Mexican school,
He was familiar.
and some were afraid of retaliation.
It was a tough situation.
That really shows how hard it is to fight back against a system that's rigged against you.
Absolutely. Sometimes even a flawed sense of normalcy can feel safer than the unknown.
But the Mendez family didn't give up.
They were incredibly persistent.
They toured other districts, interviewed families,
Looking for others who would join the fight.
and they found them.
4 other families willing to stand with them and challenge the status quo.
The Ramirezes, the Palaminos, the Guzmans, and the Estradas.
All brave families putting themselves on the line.
Because remember, this is a time of high racial tensions.
Speaking out could have serious who had fought for their country only to come home to face second-class citizenship.
They had seen the horrors of discrimination firsthand.
And they weren't going to tolerate it in their own communities.
So by March 1945, they were ready.
They had their legal team, and they filed a class action lawsuit.
But not in state court.
No, they went to federal court.
Why was that?
Because California didn't have a law mandating segregation for Mexican Americans.
So they had to take a different approach.
Exactly. They based their argument on the 14th Amendment.
For those who don't know.
It guarantees equal protection under the law.
A cornerstone of civil rights law.
And they were arguing that segregation violated that right.
Regardless of specific state laws.
They were challenging the very foundation of segregation.
That's bold.
And they weren't alone.
Other groups joined the fight.
The ACLU and the National Lawyers Guild both filed amicus briefs.
Adding their expertise and support to the case?
It showed that this case had national implications.
This wasn't just a local issue.
It could reshape education for Mexican-American children across the country.
So we've got the stage, set the historical context, the legal strategy.
And a group of brave families.
Supported by powerful organizations.
The trial itself was intense.
A battle of ideologies.
And that's where we'll pick up next time.
Exploring the arguments, the testimonies, and the judge's pivotal ruling.
A ruling that would change the course of history.
If you're as captivated by this story as we are, stick with us.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Mendez v. Westminster.
Where we left off, the stage was set for a legal showdown.
A battle over separate but equal.
And as the trial got underway in July of 1945,
the courtroom became a battleground of ideologies.
The Mendez family and their supporters fighting for equality.
And the school board clinging to segregation.
It was a 2-week trial.
And the testimony was really eye-opening.
It painted a stark picture of segregation.
Both physically and emotionally.
The plaintiffs presented a ton of evidence.
Showing the huge differences between the schools.
For Mexican-American children and those for white children.
They talked about the facilities, the lack of supplies, the differences in teacher pay.
All clear signs of inequality.
But they didn't stop there.
Right. They wanted to show the human impact of segregation.
So they had Mexican-American children testify.
Sharing their own experiences.
How did that go?
It was powerful. Those young voices really brought home the emotional toll of segregation.
What did they talk about?
They talked about feeling ashamed.
Like they weren't as good as the white children.
They felt isolated. Their dreams were limited.
It must have been incredibly moving to hear them speak.
It really underscored the human cost of segregation.
And they also brought in education experts.
Yes, to talk about the psychological damage that segregation causes.
How it reinforces a hierarchy and harmful stereotypes.
And damages the self-esteem of those in the segregated group.
They even compared it to what was happening in Nazi Germany at the time.
Arguing that segregation, even if not explicitly violent, is still a form of oppression.
A powerful comparison.
It showed how segregation undermines the very fabric of a democratic society.
So the plaintiffs made a compelling case.
With strong evidence and emotional testimony.
But then there was the defense.
The arguments put forth by the school board.
Now it's important to understand the prevailing attitudes at the time.
To see how they tried to justify segregation.
Even though their arguments are obviously flawed and offensive by today's standards.
Right.
So what was their defense?
They relied heavily on racist stereotypes and pseudoscience.
Claiming that Mexican-American children were inherently inferior to white children.
They blamed poverty-related issues on race.
Things like hygiene or language differences.
Instead of acknowledging the systemic factors that contributed to those problems.
It's like they were intentionally overlooking the ways Mexican-Americans were being disadvantaged.
And then using those disadvantages to justify further discrimination.
One superintendent even said that Mexican families had loose morals.
Which is not only completely irrelevant to a child's ability to learn,
but also a blatantly bigoted statement.
It was clear they were grasping at straws.
Desperate to uphold a system that was so unjust.
And their hypocrisy was exposed when the judge questioned them.
Judge Paul J. McCormick.
He asked them how they handled similar issues with white children.
And what did they say?
They admitted that if a white child was struggling, they would provide extra support.
They would work with the family.
Whatever was needed to help the child succeed.
But for Mexican-American children, the answer was segregation.
It was a clear double standard.
They acknowledged that these issues weren't inherent to Mexican-American children.
But rather the result of circumstance.
Yet they still insisted on separating them.
Judge McCormick saw right through it.
And in his ruling, he declared a paramount requisite in the American system of public education is social equality.
It must be open to all children by unified school association regardless of lineage.
Wow, what a statement.
He was basically saying that separating children based on their heritage goes against the very core principles of American education.
It was a huge victory for the Mendez family.
And everyone who had fought alongside them.
A powerful affirmation that segregation had no place in the American classroom.
But it wasn't the end of the story.
The school boards decided to appeal the decision.
Even though they were told they were wrong?
It's incredible that they still clung to their segregationist beliefs.
It shows how deeply ingrained those beliefs were.
So what happened while the appeal was underway?
Each school district went about integrating their schools in their own way.
Oh, I bet that went well.
Let's just say they came up with some creative solutions.
Creative.
One district decided to have grades 1 through 4 at the white school,
And grades 5 through 8 at the Mexican school.
so the older children were still stuck in the inferior facilities.
That's not really a win for equality.
No, it just shifted the problem.
But meanwhile, the appeal was moving forward.
And even more organizations joined the fight.
Supporting the Mendez family?
The ACLU, the NAACP, even the Japanese American Citizens League.
Wow, that's a lot of support.
It shows how this case resonated far beyond just this one community.
People recognized that the fight against segregation for Mexican-American children was part of a much larger struggle.
For civil rights and equality for all,
So what happened with the appeal?
the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the lower court's decision. There was a catch.
What was it?
They ruled that segregating Mexican-American children violated California law.
Not that it violated the broader principle of equal protection under the 14th Amendment.
So it was a victory, but a limited one,
And that distinction would have significant implications for future desegregation efforts.
including Brown v. Board of Education.
All right, so we're back, and we're talking about the lasting impact of Mendez v. Westminster.
A case that really set the stage for broader desegregation efforts.
We left off with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals upholding the lower court's ruling.
Right, but they did so on the basis of California state law.
Rather than the 14th Amendment.
Exactly, and that distinction had big implications.
Especially for future cases like Brown v. Board of Education.
It's true, focusing on state law meant that Mendez didn't set a national precedent,
So it was a win for Mexican-American students in California.
but it didn't automatically overturn segregation in other states.
So the fight was far from over.
No, but Mendez provided a valuable blueprint.
A roadmap for how to challenge segregation.
It showed that arguing against segregation based on its inherent inequality could be very effective.
Regardless of the quality of facility.
And the NAACP took notice.
They had filed an amicus brief in Mendez, remember?
Right, they saw the potential of this approach,
And they adopted a similar strategy in their fight against segregation nationwide,
which culminated in Brown v. Board of Education.
leading to the desegregation of schools across the country.
And it's worth noting that Thurgood Marshall,
The attorney who wrote the NAACP's amicus brief for Mendez.
he went on to argue Brown v. Board before the Supreme Court.
Wow, talk about a direct connection.
It really underscores the impact that Mendez had.
It was a testing ground for legal strategies.
That would eventually dismantle separate but equal on a national scale.
But the impact of Mendez went beyond just the legal realm.
Absolutely. It also had a profound effect on the political landscape in California,
Especially on then-Governor Earl Warren.
who, as you know, later became Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
He was deeply moved by the Mendez case
He saw the injustice of segregation firsthand.
and became a champion for its repeal.
In 1947, he signed a bill ending all school segregation in California.
It's amazing to think how this case, which started with a few families fighting for their children's education,
Had such a ripple effect.
is a testament to their courage and perseverance.
The Mendez family and the other families who joined the lawsuit, they were true pioneers.
They risked everything to fight for what they believed in.
And their story is a powerful reminder that progress takes time.
It's a series of battles fought and won,
Sometimes in courtrooms, sometimes in the streets.
but always with the goal of creating a more just and equitable society.
The Mendez case may not be as famous as Brown v. Board.
But it's a crucial part of the civil rights story,
It shows us that seemingly small local battles can have a huge impact.
shaping the course of history and pushing us toward a better future,
It's a story that deserves to be told and retold.
so that the legacy of Mendez v. Westminster and the brave individuals who fought for justice is never forgotten.
And remember, history is full of these hidden gems.
Stories of courage and resilience that we might not know about.
So keep exploring, keep learning. You might just uncover the next Mendez v. Westminster.
A story that could inspire and spark change for generations to come. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Mendez v. Westminster.
It's been a pleasure.